Online anytime at mbofstockton.com. That's mbofstockton.com.
It's time for game night, getting you ready for Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer Henry Turner. We'll take you until 4:30 this afternoon. Get you ready for Kings Live pregame. 5 o'clock tip in Milwaukee, Kings and Bucks. Sacramento's trying to do something they have not done for 21 years, Henry, and that's win 8 straight games. We're going back to the dynasty years, the golden years, C-Web, Vlade, Peja, the last time this was done, 2003. The Kings are officially streaking right now, 7 in a row. They're above 500. They're 2-0 on this road trip. They got a chance to go for the clean sweep today versus the Bucks, and we're all feeling good right now.
Well, you know what, Scooter? All records are meant to be broken.
True,
okay,
that's true.
We broke the 16-year playoff drought, so maybe we can bust open this 20-year, 8-game drought, 8-game winning drought.
How sweet it is, right? Because we know it was rough going there in December, but boy, the Kings turned this thing around. If you want to join us, you can. 916-339-1140. We'd love to hear from you. We're up and running in our YouTube chat as well. You can comment in there. We will read your comments on there. We'll be talking there during the breaks. The Kings getting it done in Chicago on Sunday. They beat the Bulls 124-119. A fun game.
Right.
And obviously, Zach LaVine was playing out of his world on Sunday, and somehow the Kings found a way to win still.
Yeah, you know, Zach LaVine came out, like a man on a mission. He was getting to the basket, scoring at will. He was knocking down shots, crazy shots, Scooter. Step back threes, fall aways. I'm like, okay, this is why you are Zach. I understand that. But the Kings still, every time that Chicago made a run, the Kings had a response. And that's one of the things that we hadn't seen from this team early on.
Yep.
Usually when they get hit in the mouth, they falter.
Yep.
But Chicago came out, they hit, Kings hit back. Chicago hit again, the Kings hit back. So that's been a huge difference in this basketball club.
No doubt. They definitely responded, and when they needed the ultimate stop, they got it. That 5-second violation at the end of the game closed the deal on the Bulls. That's a tough way to lose, to get a 5-second call against you.
Let me tell you, and that's a little luck going your way, because how often does a referee call a 5-second play in a time period that?
No doubt. And isn't that kind of one of the most subjective calls in the game? I'd love, is everybody's movement the same? Like, some people's 5 seconds is 4, some 5 is 6.
Some referees go 1001.
Right. Are they counting alligators? Are they counting
1003? Right. It's all subjective. But like I said, for the Sacramento Kings to come up with the stop like that, first of all, great effort on the defensive end.
Absolutely.
But then again, a little luck with the referees.
No doubt. And you've got to have luck. There's no doubt about it. When you're going to have a streak like this, you got to have a little bit of luck. But obviously, it's been a great run for the Sacramento Kings. And Doug Christie, amazing. He's 7-1 now as head coach of the Kings. And we don't want to put too much upon him, because that would not be fair either. But it is pretty remarkable what we have seen in terms of this turnaround.
Scooter, Doug has really gotten the guys to buy into what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's come with a different approach. He's come with a different volume. He's come with a different persona than what they're used to listening to. And I honestly think the guys have bought in. That's the big thing. They're saying, okay, we're listening to you. Now let's just go out there and have fun.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's showing up on the floor. Of course, they got De'Aaron back. De'Aaron played just under 33 minutes, scored 26 points, had 9 big rebounds. He was great. DeMar DeRozan continuing to play very good basketball with 21. Malik Monk, by the way, who is going to be out tonight, right? Groin soreness. That's tough. But fortunately, De'Aaron is back. That should help make up for that. But you look at the starters, I mean, they have been playing just so well. It kind of reminds me of where it was kind of at the beginning parts of the season. Remember, the starting five had that net rating that was best in the league.
Right. I honestly think since Malik has been in the starting lineup, Malik helps out a lot of the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
I like what him and De'Aaron does as a tandem, because I think when it comes down to it, De'Aaron can get his own. And Malik can be the facilitator, because Malik gets his own, but he's also looking for other guys.
Right.
De'Aaron is a specialist. De'Aaron is a sniper. Yep. Right. De'Aaron's not a shotgun. Yeah. You shoot a shotgun, it sprays. You're going to hit a whole bunch of people. De'Aaron's a sniper. He's just going straight for his target. So I think with both of them on the floor, it kind of works together.
Great point. Monk had 9 assists again. De'Aaron, he's a scorer.
Right. He's a sniper.
Yep.
He's going to score. So at the end of the day, you really can't be mad at what he does. That's what he does well. I'm just glad that, Doug has found and put these guys in a position to say, hey, that's what you do. You do what you do well, and don't try to deviate from that. Okay, you know what? You're not a facilitator. Don't pass the ball. You shoot. All right, Keegan, this is what you do. You shoot the ball when it's open. If not, put it on the ground. Herder, when you come off, you're a 3-point shooter. You let it go. Got guys playing at the best of their ability. You put your players in the best possible position to succeed.
No doubt. And you're coming off a weekend where you beat Boston.
That's huge. In Boston.
Blew them away 38-21 in the fourth quarter.
The champs.
Yes.
In their home building.
And with their full roster.
Without your main guy.
Yeah.
That says a lot. That's huge.
It does. All right. Milwaukee tonight, they will have Adetokounmpo. He had missed a game not too long ago, but Chris Middleton's going to be out for the Bucks. We'll break that all down as we get through the hour as well. We'll have a full Ginger and Hammer injury report for you. As for the Bulls, let's just finish up there. Levine was absolutely amazing. Whether he's playing to get traded or not, it's one of these stories when you talk about the Bulls, you look at them, they're just good enough to be competitive, not good enough to get over the hump. We just wonder, is this going to be the year where they finally break it all down?
They've been there for a while now.
Yeah.
Whether Jimmy Buckets was there, whether DeMar was there, they have always been in that situation to where they're good enough to compete, but they're not really good enough to compete.
Right. Not at the highest level.
Right. So at the end of the day, do you say, okay, now let's just blow it up and start over? Or is there a combination of guys out there to where you feel you can bring those guys and insert them into your roster and say, okay, we can make this thing better?
No doubt. Zach LaVine showed off. We know that. Obviously, a lot of teams would want him, but we also know that the sticker price that he comes with, he's over $45 million.
It's heavy.
Would any team pull the trigger at that amount?
I think a team that's desperate would.
Yeah.
Because when you have some of the marquee teams that are not playing up to par, right now LA will pull the trigger on anybody.
Yeah.
The Lakers need it. Let's say, for example, if New York wasn't relevant, they would be willing to pull the trigger on any superstar. I think that's why Giannis is going to be coveted big time, because he's pretty much going to be the next face of any franchise that's struggling but still have that championship or bust mentality.
Can you believe that Giannis is in his 12th year now?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
That is unbelievable to me.
It's been a minute.
When I was reading that, getting ready for the game day, I was like, 12 years, boy, that time has flown.
Hey, NBA years go by fast.
There's no doubt about that. So, and it's interesting because there has even been some conversation about Giannis maybe wanting to get moved. And wouldn't that be the ultimate for the Bucks? Because, they've made every move for him. They've even put his brother on the roster. Everybody talks about LeBron's son being put on the roster for the Lakers. Nobody really talks about Giannis's brother basically being on the team for Giannis.
And it is bad too, because maybe a lot of let's say media and basketball enthusiasts still see his brother as a basketball player,
right?
Because he played in the Greek league. He's had a little success other places where Bronny is just leaving high school, didn't have success in college, And it's more so, it's LeBron James. It's a bigger story.
No question. By the way, the Lakers and Clippers both back playing. They played last night as the LA Fire still ongoing, and we still send our best out to everybody down south, all our friends down there who are suffering so much. Speaking of an LA kid, Lonzo Ball, it was good to see him back on Sunday. He made his first start in over 3 years, and it's just great to see him back on the court.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Lonzo Ball almost made me curse at one particular point.
He played well.
Hey, because he played a little too well.
Yeah, he played well.
He was knocking down some shots. Yeah. And I'm like, come on, Lonzo, you just can't do that against us now. You ain't been on the floor in 30 days, 30 years, and you gonna come back and have a game like this? But yeah, was happy to see Alonzo back, man, because it was such a big thing when him and De'Aaron came out. Who was the better point guard? And, we wanted also desperately to have that matchup of De'Aaron and Alonzo on the floor. But, it never really quite came to fruition because, either De'Aaron was out or Alonzo was out. And the kid was out, man, and had an injury. So I'm happy to see he was able to overcome from that and get back on the floor.
Yeah, the adversity he's faced, it is really remarkable to see him back out there and being productive. And obviously the Bulls are a better team with him. We'll see. Maybe that could be the difference for them in terms of maybe making a move in the East. I'm not quite sure it is, but it certainly will help.
I mean, Alonzo Ball is a good player. Yeah. He's a good player. He is the greatest as his father protected. I mean, should put out there, but he is. He's a good basketball player. Yeah. He has a high basketball IQ. He sees the floor extremely well.
He does.
Extremely well. So he can help any ball club that needs a facilitator.
True. But the two things, regardless of injury, one, he's not as good as LaMelo. And two, he was never good enough to be drafted over De'Aaron.
Okay. I will say he was never drafted, never should have been drafted over De'Aaron. No way, no how.
No.
But, that was the controversy, Scooter.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the story, right? We were just talking about the LeBron Giannis comparison. Well, LeBron's a bigger story. I think, the other one was the bigger travesty, but LeBron's thing is the bigger story. Same thing with them. It was that, you had Alonzo Ball, who's a
UCLA kid,
very talented kid, but he brought all the ridicule of his daddy.
Yeah.
And his daddy was a loudmouth, and they pushed that even further. It was almost like his dad was just as big as he was.
No doubt.
And then pushing two juniors behind him. So that story was bigger than just De'Aaron's story.
And that was also the year Magic was still in control of the Lakers and all the comparisons they were trying to make and all those types of things. I think the Lakers got bought into the hype a little bit.
Of course. And, like I said, it wasn't a bad pick.
No.
It was just a pick to where
it just wasn't the right pick.
De'Aaron was better.
Exactly. All right, game night's underway. We'll be with you until 4:30 today. We'll be breaking down the game, Kings and Bucks. The Kings are going for an undefeated road trip. They're going for 8 straight. That'd be the first time since November and December of 2003 that they've won 8 straight basketball games. More of Game Night coming your way. It's brought to you by our good friends at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. More of Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
We are now live on YouTube.
Fantastic. Ramsey, how are you, buddy?
Looking for 8 in a row. That's all we can ask for.
8 in a row. Can you believe 23 years ago? What were you doing 23 years ago?
They said it was 2003.
Yes.
My daughter, who will be 21 in March, wasn't even born yet. So that's how far ago that was.
No doubt. It's pretty crazy times. What was your takeaway from Sunday?
It was just another hard-fought, scrappy win. That's all you can ask for. Hey, and I quoting Malcolm X, by any means necessary. I don't care how you win. Just find a way to get there.
They got it done, that's for sure. And obviously the Bulls put up a lot of points, but the Kings were outscoring. I mean, the Kings got it going themselves. They actually played a game where their defense was pretty good, but it was their offense that carried them.
Yes, it was definitely the tempo of the game and how they were able to, manufacture buckets on the offensive end. They were able to hit shots. The Kings have been shooting the ball better. I'm not saying great, but they've been shooting it better. And then, with them trying to find other ways, utilizing other facets of the game, it helps them win basketball games.
It does indeed. And it was great to see, Devin Carter didn't play a lot in this game. He got 11 minutes of rotation. I think it's pretty clear, like he's obviously in the rotation.
Right.
If they're going to 9, Devin Carter is going to be substituted in for Alex Len, minus a night where you're getting 2 bigs or something like that, where Doug Christie might mix it up. But your 9-man rotations now, Ellis, Herter, Lyles, and Carter. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah. And it's still going to be according to what the other team throw out there, but I think Doug has a good mixture out there and has a good feel about the rotations.
Yeah, I think he does indeed. And I think it's great. Jay Crowder is a guy who's not really getting any run now.
None.
But as a veteran, I think it's great. He's kind of taken a couple of guys under the wings, like an Isaac Jones, like a Devin Carter, and really starting to show them the ropes. In fact, there was a story, Mark Jones on the TV side was talking about Jay Crowder introducing Devin Carter and some of the guys to the referees before the game, making sure they knew who they were and that they shook hands. And so they had a human factor to it.
You know what I like about that? Showing guys how to be pros.
Mm-hmm.
Showing guys how to be a professional. Hats off to Jay for doing that, because usually if you don't have nobody to even think about doing that, those rookies would have never thought about going up to the referees, introducing them, saying, hey, This is me, this is who I am. That's a straight pro move.
That is a straight pro move. And referees are humans just like anybody else. That means something.
Oh, for sure.
And who knows when that call, I'm not saying they're going to make a call a different way or not, but they might think about a technical foul in a different way, potentially, or at least give some leeway, or at least come up to the player if they know them a little bit.
They will, and especially if it's a player that, I'm not saying you got to kiss up to the referees, but you come up and be professional.
Yeah.
And let them know and talk to them like, you would talk to any other player, and you might get away. You might get a little bit more leeway when it comes down to something egregious.
Yep. No doubt. It can't hurt. That's for sure. And again, when you talk about road trips, High Flyer, you're always saying if you can go 50-50 on a road trip, it's a good trip. If you go above 500, it's a great trip. Well, the Kings have already done both of those. They have a chance to go undefeated on this road trip.
Yeah, big time. If you ask me, the road trip has been a huge success, but still, it's a situation to where you would like to get greedy.
All right, cool. We'll save the rest for when we come back here. Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marsh along with the High Flyer Henry Turner, taking you until 4:30 today. It's a 5 o'clock tip in Milwaukee, Kings and Bucks. If you want to join the program, 916-339-1140. We appreciate everybody in the comments in our YouTube chat. We will get to you there as well. Henry, 1 year ago today, the Kings were also in Milwaukee. And we try to forget some games. This is one game, as much as you might want to forget, you just can't, because that was the game, of course, that Damian Lillard hit that 3-point shot from nearly midcourt to win that game in overtime. And that was after Malik Monk had missed a couple of free throws.
Right.
Aaron Fox went 1 of 2 from the line. There was a 3-pointer before Damian shot that set up the ultimate game time finish that undid the Kings that night.
Yeah, Scooter, I hate even thinking about that, because that game
was painful.
That game really, really, really bothered me, because I actually thought that if the Kings basketball IQ was just a little bit higher, that they would have won that game, because I would have guarded. I would have let everybody run.
You can't
to
let
the
Damian
basket,
Lillard bring it up in the backcourt.
but let Dame bring it up. Exactly.
No, you got to get it out of his hands. And that was just such a shame, because the Kings made that comeback in the fourth quarter. They were down to get it to overtime. They made that tremendous comeback.
Right. I mean, they did everything right to get to where they were, except let Damian Lillard catch the ball and bring it up.
No doubt. If you'll remember, that was the game that Mike Brown got the technical. He brought his computer into the post-game press conference. He was showing plays on the computer. Received a fine for that one afterwards. That was a tough loss. That was a really tough loss. So the Kings certainly would want to regroup and get that one back. As we look at the Western Conference standings, the Kings have already moved up from 12th to 9th. They've passed the Warriors, who lost last night to the Raptors. So the Warriors are now under 500, and the Kings are over 500. And we know it's not just about the Warriors. as you look at the standings. But anytime that you move past the Warriors, it means something in this area.
Anytime you move past anybody right now, Scooter, I don't care who's in front of us, we're trying to get in front of them because, we started out not the way that we wanted to.
Yeah.
But we've hit a stride now. I mean, that homestand was, disappointing. We thought the team was going to do better, but now they're playing at a very high level. So anybody that you can catch and pass, you'll take it.
No doubt. All right. Game night's being brought to you by our good friends at the law firm of Gingery, Hammer and Associates. If you've got an injury, just call Gingery. The other teams that they've moved up a pass, and again, we're talking by degrees right now. This half games, but they've moved past the Spurs. They've moved past the Suns, who are both 19-19. So they're a game behind the Timberwolves right now, two games back in the loss column of LA.
You know what, Scooter? You just chip away. You keep chipping and chipping and chipping, and next thing you know, you're going to be where you are. But the thing about the Sacramento Kings is that they don't have no wiggle room to fall behind.
No.
We wanted these guys to start winning basketball games to where they have a little cushion just for such case of emergency to where you start struggling a little bit.
Right.
Well, they don't have that now. They're still in the hunt, but they don't have that wiggle room.
That's a great point. They can't take a deep breath and
at
let
all.
off.
At all. They have to keep the foot on the accelerator.
Yeah, they definitely have to keep the foot on the accelerator. And Milwaukee, a team that will be ready to go tonight. They got outright embarrassed last time out. They got whooped at the Garden 140-103 after winning a few games before that. But that was certainly not their best effort, to say the least. And, the Knicks are a good team, but Milwaukee should not lose by 37 points.
Not to New York, no. It's one of those situations to where, and let's say this. No slap in the face of New York. New York is playing good basketball. But to go out and beat a championship contention team like the Milwaukee Bucks in that fashion, yeah, Milwaukee needs to take another look at themselves.
No doubt about that. And they'll be ready to go tonight. Actually, it's 100-106. I shortchanged them 3 points on that one. But Brunson had 44 in that game.
Woo!
Yeah, he's been amazing. Is Brunson, is he a legit MVP candidate?
I would say.
Yeah. You got to put him in that realm now.
Bro, I was actually putting him in that same category last year.
Yeah.
He has been the catalyst to the New York Knicks surgeon. Without him, it's not that success down there. So, he's a guy that should be put in that category.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Bucks come into this game, they're 20-17 overall. And if you want to know how that equates into the Eastern Conference standings, the Bucks right now are 6. So that would put them in a playoff situation. They're only a half game ahead of the Heat. That's interesting. We know everything that's going on with the Heat. We'll get into Jimmy Butler and the latest in that saga in our next segment. But let's focus on Milwaukee right now, the opponent for the Kings tonight. We know Chris Middleton's been back. He's played most of the games of late. He will not play because of injury management tonight. He's been coming off the bench. They got off to this terrible start, and then they raced to 8 victories themselves. They're 5-5 in their last 10. What do you make of everything with Doc Rivers now that he's been there for a while? Are the Bucks trending upwards? Are they trending backwards? I'm not sure what to make of this Milwaukee team.
I can say this. It's not what they thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
They thought that Milwaukee was going to come in and do what Cleveland's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely hasn't been that way. It's been a little awkward for them, but I still think that if they get it together, they can still make some noise coming out of the East.
If you could go back in the high flyer time machine a year and a half back, or however long it was when the trade went down with Damian Lillard, would the Bucks still make the trade? Giving up Drew Holiday and how it all went down.
I think they still would,
mm-hmm.
but I think now that they probably would ask for more because we see what Holiday is doing with the Boston Celtics. So it was kind of like, but they definitely needed Dame. I don't know if they wanted to move Middleton. Drew. They probably would have moved Middleton more so than Drew.
No doubt. They just are not the same defensive team they were. Bottom line.
And no, they're not. Not at all.
And that certainly hurts their case. And Doc Rivers has tried to change them around, and I guess maybe some success. We'll find out later on in the playoffs this year. I certainly wouldn't put them ahead of Cleveland, Boston, New York. The Magic, they're still getting back with health with Banchero back, and the Pacers, who now are streaking too. The Pacers are playing the best basketball of any team in the Eastern Conference.
I will say this: the Orlando Magic, though, is the most intriguing to me.
Yeah,
because there are a bunch of young guys, man, that enjoy playing with one another. They understand the task at hand, and they're going to be together for a while.
Right.
Banchero is still a pup.
Yep.
And he's the leader of that squad, but everybody else is bought in right behind him.
Yeah, they're good and they're young.
They're
going to just get better. Whereas the Bucks are not a young team.
No. For the Bucks, their window's now.
Right, exactly. And that would be interesting to see too if they're going to be buyers at the deadline again.
Right, because the Bucks have to win this year.
Yeah.
Orlando's looking at their team saying, "Okay, we're playing well now, but they're not championship or bust."
No.
They understand they might be 2.5 years away, but not Milwaukee. Milwaukee has to win now.
Yeah, they do. That's definitely for sure with them, especially with Giannis. And boy, I just couldn't imagine him going anyplace else. But you just never know. You never know.
Yeah, I can see him go somewhere. I can see him going somewhere else.
It's possible, but Milwaukee has just been a team that's done everything for him. You could make the case that Sacramento's done almost everything for De'Aaron.
Well, and Portland did everything for Dame.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't work. It's not feasible. When you look at New Orleans is going to say, well, yeah, we did everything for CP3 and we did everything for Zion. They did the best they could, but it just didn't work out.
True. Well, Adetokounmpo he's averaging a career high 31.5 points. He's averaging nearly 12 rebounds, 6 assists, over a steal a ball game. So he's still doing everything number wise.
The one thing that Milwaukee has going with Giannis is that this is the first team he's played for.
Yeah.
And he's been big time gracious to understand what Milwaukee has done for him and his family.
Yeah.
Seeing where he's come from.
Yeah.
And for Milwaukee to be able to have him where he is right now, you definitely have to give Milwaukee a whole lot of leeway. But I'll tell you what, I know somebody is in his camp is saying, Milwaukee has been great. Very, very nice to us. But can you imagine where we would be if we was in a big market?
No doubt.
That changes things, Scott.
Oh, man, I don't think Milwaukee certainly their fans don't want to think about that. All right, when we come back, we're going to go around the league. We'll get you caught up on the matchups for tonight as well. Kings and Bucks, Sacramento looking for 8 straight. Again, first time in 21 years they've got a chance to win 8 in a row. We'll break that all down as well. It's game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
We are back live on YouTube again.
All right. So, Ramsey, what do you think? Will Giannis remain a Buck his entire career?
I can't say one way or the other. Like Henry was saying, a lot of these stars find a way to go elsewhere long into their career because, unfortunately, it just didn't work in that first city.
Well, what's interesting, it did work for him. They've won a championship in Milwaukee. It's not like they haven't had success, and that's the thing that's so hard for me to figure out about Milwaukee because they won a championship. And then they just started blowing it up. They let go of Budenholzer. It kind of felt
that was the problem right there.
Yeah, almost like when the Kings let go of Adelman way back.
That
in the day,
was
right?
the problem right there. When you thought you can get better than Bud. Bud was the guy that brought you the championship, okay? And they thought, okay, well, if we move on from Bud, we could get better. No, you better honestly look at yourself. Because, see, that's when people start thinking that, oh, this is my team. I did this. And, one of those situations where I can make it better. No, it's the coach of those guys on the floor that made it what it was.
Right, exactly. And then, they just continued to make moves after that too. And obviously the big move was to bring in Dame. And you can't say it's a flop. It's too early for that. But unless they get to an Eastern Conference Finals or a championship, it will be.
Not flop, but it will be a big disappointment.
Yeah.
Because whenever you go out, think about this, Scott. Whenever you go out and you get a guy such as a Dame Lillard, such as a Kevin Durant, you throw a couple other guys out there with that. A Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
It will never be a flop But it will be a disappointment because those guys are too good to say it's a flop.
No doubt. But we always like to use the term championship or bust.
Right.
Milwaukee's in that championship or bust.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe a flop is too strong, but it would be a massive disappointment.
Oh, disappointment for sure.
Yeah, there's just absolutely no question about that. Anything good going on in our chat, Ramsey?
Let me take a quick look here, just 1 second.
Yep.
But to second where Henry was saying about the Dame and Drew.
Yeah.
Dame is a great player. We love him. I just think the fit of Drew Holiday on Milwaukee is what got them to the championship.
No doubt. His defensive presence working around everybody else, he was a glue guy. I totally agree with that. They underestimated how important he was to the overall scheme there.
You know, the leadership that he brought, the camaraderie he had with that team, you know, not to saying that Dame won't have it, but, you know, Drew helped build it. You know, it's something totally different when you have a race car. Somebody else might have the car and might do well with it. Yeah. But if you built that car, you know something about that car that the other people really don't.
And speaking of somebody who builds race cars, you know what you're talking about.
Well, you know, I build, no, not real race cars, but
you race them.
RC race cars, yes.
You may not be behind the oval turning left.
But you know what? Always wanted to be a race car driver.
Did you?
Always.
Okay.
I just grew to be 6'7", and that was out the question.
That'd be a tight fit getting it out without doors.
You know what? I did the NASCAR experience in Fontana.
How was it?
The best.
Remarkable.
Oh, man. Yeah. And you know what, though? I finally had a chance to relive my childhood.
Can I tell you one of my favorite all-time experiences?
What was that? Was
I got to do a hot lap when Laguna Seca used to have the IndyCar race. It's moved to Sonoma since. Anyways, long story short, got invited from a client to, long story, but anyways, I'm in line to get the hot pit laps and drivers are pulling up and everything. And so I'll tell you real quickly, the person who pulled up to drive me, Mario Andretti.
Oh, couldn't get any better.
Hot lap with Mario Andretti.
Couldn't get any better.
No, it was as good as it gets. Welcome back in the game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. We appreciate all the comments in our YouTube chat. If you want to call us, 916-339-1140. We'd love to hear from you over the air as well. Game night being brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience for yourself how the Power of Family can help you with all your business copier needs. Give them a call today, 1-844-POWER-BZ, or go to powercopiers.com. All right, let's go around the league. We'll focus in more on Kings and Bucks in our next segment. Again, no Malik Monk tonight. We'll see how that factors in. They won't have Chris Middleton. But right now, some of the major NBA stories, Jimmy Butler has come out and said once his 7-game suspension is over with, he will play for Miami. He's not going to sit out. He's still demanding to be traded, but that's going to create an interesting scenario because I can't imagine the Miami Heat want to play him with everything that's going on, not the current iteration of Jimmy Butler. So who forces that hand after this is all over with?
That's going to be, I'm with you. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because, how do you put this guy back out on the floor when you know he don't want to be on this basketball team? But then again, he's such a force to where he is a guy that could definitely turn the tide and make you win basketball games. Yeah. So it's going to be a catch-22 type situation down there in Miami.
No doubt. And then, of course, he's got a player option on a $52 million contract for next year. He says that he will opt out of that or could. Would any player opt out of $52 million?
No.
How can you opt out of that?
No. I mean, but you know what, though? We all know that Jimmy is a different dude.
That's true. That is true.
Jimmy is a different guy. And, and honestly, I watched a couple of interviews on him. This dude has been very astute with his NBA money.
Yeah.
He has a plethora of businesses.
Yeah.
So endorsements. So you know what? He might be one of those guys where $50 million really might not move him.
You're right about that. It's hard to comprehend on this side of things, but you might be absolutely right about that. But it was interesting. Pat Riley was actually at the Lakers game last night. They inducted Michael Cooper into the Laker Hall of Fame, put his jersey up in the
Wow,
rafters
really?
last night. Yeah, so Magic
Cool.
was there, and Worthy was there, and Pat was there, and
So wait, so who jersey isn't up there? Worthy's up there, right?
Worthy's up there. Yep.
Byron Scott.
Yeah, I don't know if Byron. I don't know the answer to that. I would have to look.
I'm saying it's everybody
Yeah.
but Byron Scott on that Showtime team.
Yeah, Byron's might be up there. I don't know.
No, I don't think
Okay.
B Scott's not up there.
Okay. All right.
So it would
he
be-
did coach the Lakers. too.
It would be everybody but him. You got Kareem, Magic, Worthy, Coop.
Yeah.
B Scott.
Yeah, pretty special night for him. And as I've said to you, Michael Cooper's son, Niels Cooper, plays on the UC Davis basketball.
Wow.
team.
And Kurt Rambis' wife still runs the league, so he's doing pretty good.
He's doing just fine. All right. As I said earlier, the Warriors lost to Toronto, and that's never a good thing because the Toronto Raptors are not having a good season whatsoever. The Raptors right now are one of the worst teams in the league. They're 9-31. So Steph Curry was asked about what is needed to be done now based on that situation, losing to Toronto. And his comment was they should not make any drastic moves towards the trade deadline. What do you think about the Warriors right now? I mean, it's interesting for Curry. I mean, he's not retiring this year. Obviously he's in the later stages of his career. I'd hate to put a time limit on it. He's a guy who I could see playing over 40 if he wanted to as well. But it feels like the Warriors season is sliding away.
I will say this, when you talk about the longevity of Steph Curry, he's one of those guys where, we marvel at LeBron, but Steph Curry is one of those guys that can probably play this game at a very high level for a very long time because his game is not predicated on size, strength, overpowering people.
Yeah.
His game is craftiness, being able to help facilitate knockdown shots. So when you have a game like that, you can play in this league for as long as you like.
No doubt. And he is Steph Curry, so I'm not going to ever bet against him. The Warriors started the year 12-3. They've lost 17 of 24 games now to get to 19-20.
Wow. And they had a stint to where they was balling out. Everybody was like, the Golden State Warriors have figured it out.
Yeah.
Well,
Western Conference champs.
Yeah, it definitely isn't that anymore. I mean, that just goes to show the ebbs and flows in the league.
No doubt about it. All right. We mentioned the Lakers and the Clippers. Both of them have returned to the court now. We know about all the fires going on. They're still far from being over. Just terrible tragedy down there. But at least the teams are able to get back and play. Now the Lakers maybe wish they hadn't. They got blown out by the Spurs last night, especially in that second half.
Wow.
128-102.
I always have this question with the Lakers as long as 23 is in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
How long is he going to stay engaged?
Yeah.
Because when he checks out, and he does, when he checks out and he finally sees that team isn't going to be, because see, he's championship or bust.
Yep.
I will say that about LeBron. He's championship or bust every time he steps on the floor. So when he finally comes to the realization that that's not going to happen, he will shut down because he's like, I'm up here in age. Why am I killing myself just to make it to the playoffs? No, it's not going to be that way.
Well, here's the thing. That game last night was tied after 3 quarters. The Spurs outscored the Lakers 37-13 in the fourth quarter.
Woo.
37-13.
Wow. Hey, Chris Paul and the big fella is getting it done, huh?
They're getting it
Good
done.
Good old Harrison Barnes.
No doubt. That was a big win for them, clearly. So we'll see what the Lake Show does. I mean, they're still right there in a playoff situation themselves. But
I mean, they built up some equity. They had some wiggle room.
They did. Got off to a good start early on.
Right.
No doubt about that. Kawhi Leonard has missed time to be back with family. His family's been affected by the fires. He says he's going to, quote unquote, take his time ramping back up since the return of playing.
This is the question with Kawhi.
Not rushing back to return to play.
This is the question with Kawhi.
Yep.
You wasn't rushing back from the beginning.
Right.
You've been off the floor basically the whole season. You just stepped back on the floor. Now, understandable. What's going on in LA? Tragedy. If you have to go and be with your family, you do that.
Sure.
You take care of business. But when you say things like well, I'm going to take my time coming back. How long? Now you talk about how long LeBron going to stay engaged. How long is the Clippers going to let Kawhi just hold him hostage that way?
We'll see. Obviously, I mean, the Clippers are playing pretty good basketball right now, so that helps. They've certainly made their way up in the Western Conference standings.
Right. So that gives Kawhi a little more rope.
It does.
Because if the basketball team is still playing well and the Clippers are saying, okay, even if they want to move on from Kawhi, but if the team is playing well, Kawhi can still be that guy that's going to help push you over to that next level.
Yeah. Clips are 21-17. They've won, they're 5-5 in their last 10. So they haven't been great in their last 10, but they were certainly better to get above that because they started the year so terribly.
Right.
So, but anyways, all right, those are some of the news around the league. Let's get you caught up on some of the other games going on in the association tonight. It's a busy night in the NBA tonight as we will go around and get you at some of the games. Cavs and Pacers, that's a good one tonight because the Pacers, as we said, have won 6 straight. They finally have got their act together. We were wondering what was going on with the Pacers. They're the only other team in the league that hasn't won it, lost in January, like the Kings on the Western side.
Wow. So they've caught fire.
They have caught fire.
22-18. They have figured it out. Once again, Scott, I mean, we cried and hollered about our basketball team. What's going on? What's happening? All NBA teams have ebbs and flows. I mean, it's just very rare when you catch a team that's doing what OKC is doing. When you catch a team that's doing what Cleveland is doing, that's very, very rare air.
It is, for sure. All right, Thunder and Sixers, they're just underway. Later on, it's Suns and Hawks. You've got the Pelicans and the Bulls. Zion Williamson will be back after serving that 1-game suspension for missing or being late for the team playing multiple times. You've got the Nuggets and the Mavericks tonight, and the Nets and the Trailblazers. That's a look at the NBA docket. Of course, the game we're going to focus in on when we come back, Kings and Bucks. We'll break everything down to get no Malik Monk. We'll give you the full Gingery and Hammer injury report when we come back. It is game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
We are live again on YouTube.
All right. Any latest thought in our chat tonight?
Their same thoughts as what we have earlier. Everybody's looking to hopefully get to number 8 and take care of business in Milwaukee.
8 in a row would be pretty amazing. I mean, you think about it, and we know the Kings, the futility over the last couple of decades, but to do something you haven't done in 21 years, that's pretty cool.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, we want this team to play well. We want this team to, finish up well. So at the end of the day, if you can go ahead and break a record while you're doing that, why not? I've always said, get as many as possible, store up as much as you can, because we see how teams are starting to fall off, starting to lose some basketball games. So if you have a little equity, it doesn't become panic time.
No, definitely not. And as you've always said, every game counts the same. They're just one of 82.
Every game counts the same, but I'll tell you what, we panic and we pull the plug. So, right now, let's try to win as many as we can to where that anxiety doesn't get that high.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. We were talking about the Kings being better offensively. Obviously, their tempo is way better since Doug Christie has taken over. He's talked about simplifying the offense. Do you see that out there?
Now, here's the thing. When you start talking about simplifying the offense, Scott, it's not like he's changed anything. He's given guys the freedom and the leeway to play. Yep. Say, for example, Keon Ellis comes down and takes a bad shot, right?
Yep.
Instead of him looking over at the side, looking at Coach Mike Brown, and Mike Brown is looking at someone else to put in for him, Doug Christie brings him over and hugs him and say, hey, get the ball back for me. Give me a steal. Give me a deflection. Just make up for it. You're staying in the game. That makes it a lot easier, a lot simpler to play out there on the floor. So it's not like any changes have been made, but he just makes the guys feel more easy at playing. And so it's simple for them to go out there and do what they do.
No doubt. And Sabonis said after the game on Sunday, he's basically calling 3 or 4 plays. We've got one play for DeMar, another one for De'Aaron, and one for me. That's pretty simple.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And everybody else plays off that.
Yeah. And it's working, obviously it's working. And, it's fun to watch. It's fun to see the team. This was kind of the team that Mike Brown put together in year one.
And you know what? And when you look at that and you hear what Domas says, he said, it's simple. One play for De'Aaron, one play for Sabonis, one play for Debo. Well, he ain't changed those plays. It's still the same play.
Right.
So whether he calls it or Mike Brown calls it, it's still the same play. But when you give the players the leeway to say, okay, if you make a mistake, it's all right, it changes the whole scenario.
Yeah, it does. And like you said, all right, we'll save it. Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140, our final segment. We'll take you until the bottom of the hour. Kings Live pregame, Jason Ross in with this man right here, the high flyer. They'll take you until 5. G-Man with the call tonight in Milwaukee. Sacramento going for the sweep on the road. They went to Boston, blew out the Celtics in the fourth quarter. They blow into the Windy City, get the win 124-119. Now trying to go north about 90 minutes, get into Milwaukee, a 5-serve arena, and take out Giannis and the Bucks. It's going to be a little bit tougher because they will not have Malik Monk. It's time now for Gingery and Hammer and Associates injury report. If you got an injury, just call it Gingery. For the Kings, no Malik Monk, right groin soreness. He is out for the game tonight. So we'll see how the Kings are able to rebound without him. For the Bucks, there will be no Chris Middleton, who is on injury management for them. He's been coming off the bench for Milwaukee. But let's break it down. Without Malik tonight, obviously that changes a lot of things. Malik has been so good. So how did the Kings compensate without Malik?
You know, I think De'Aaron falls back into his old point guard position, and, you know, he's been very good at that. But the thing that scares me without Malik is that, you know, and when we talked about this with the Drive guys, is De'Aaron's pretty much is a scoring guard, right?
Yep.
De'Aaron scores. Malik facilitates. Malik helps other people score the ball. De'Aaron is a sniper. I call him a sniper. You know, he shoots at a target and he gets his target. Malik Monk is a shotgun to where when he shoots, he sprays and he hits a multitude of targets to where, you know, they're going to miss that. I think when you lose somebody like a Malik, because you lose the others. Hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully De'Aaron will be able to get those guys going also. But when you lose Malik, you lose one of your guys that he isn't scared to make a mistake. He pushes the tempo, and that's something that the Kings desperately need. And how are they going to play the game? No doubt.
Probably a good thing De'Aaron got a game back on Sunday.
Yeah.
For tonight.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt, to where he's just not through in there. But
yeah,
De'Aaron is such a talented player to where he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's the other guys that is going to miss the high pick and roll pocket pass to Sabonis, the high pick and roll drive to the middle and spray out to Keegan and spray out to DeMar in the corners. It's the others that might really suffer with Malik not being in the game.
No doubt. And I'm guessing Keon will get the start tonight.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you could. Herter has started at times, but I think Keon's your guy who's
no way I'm putting anybody else on him on Dame, but Keon.
Yeah, no, agreed with that. All right, let's break down the matchup. So you just talked about that a little bit. Damian, most likely it's going to be Keon, you think, on him to start with?
All day, every day. Pick him up from the parking lot.
And you have to.
You have to.
You have to.
You know what, Scott? The game for me is the Kings at the three-point line.
Yeah.
Because you have to pick up Dame before he even hits the three-point line.
Right.
And if you don't pick up Giannis before at the three-point line, if you pick him up at the top of the key, it's too late. Yep. Because he picks the ball up and he's 2 strides to the basket.
Yep.
So you have to pick him up even higher. So that's why I say the defense for the Sacramento Kings is going to start at the three-point line.
No doubt. And you've got to build the wall. How do you build that wall in the lane against Giannis?
You don't need the wall, Scott, if you pick him up early.
Yeah.
Because Giannis is a 1-2 dribble type guy. He's not a 3-4-5 dribble dude. His game doesn't. He don't have that in his game just yet. The way he kills you is no one picks him up until he gets to the top of the key.
It's too late.
That's 1-2 dribble to the basket.
Yep. What about defensively? Is it Keegan who's on
Yes.
Giannis?
Yes, Keegan.
He's obviously giving up some size.
He's going to give up some size, but Keegan can move, and he's long enough to be able to stay with Giannis. Now, is he going to be able to deal with him man-to-man? I would start off and try it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Obviously, it's going to be defense by committee on Giannis.
No doubt. But I would definitely try Keegan man-to-man and other guys stint and help when need be, except Keon. You do not leave D-Lil.
Yeah, almost a box and one to some extent.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it there. Obviously, the Bucks are more than just Giannis and Damian Lillard. They still have Brook Lopez in the middle. They still have Bobby Portis coming off the bench. We won't see Middleton tonight. But this is an experienced team, as we talked about. And again, we were talking about, are they trending or are they falling? I think they're still trying to figure it out, quite honestly.
They are. They're still trying to figure it out, Scooter, no doubt.
Yeah. What do you make of Doc Rivers in that experiment?
Doc got thrown into it. He came and replaced Adrian, and it was one of those situations to where you have a ready-made team, but Doc should be used to that because he had that with the Clippers, right? He had that with Philly. He had that with Boston. He has it now with Milwaukee, a ready-made team that's ready to win. All you have to do is really figure out how to put the pieces to the puzzle.
No doubt. Doug Christie's message to the team tonight.
Go out there and play your butts off.
Yep. That's all he's asking.
That's it.
Yeah, no doubt. And as we talked about, first time in 21 years, the Kings can win 8 in a row. Well, the one thing we know, Doug Christie was on that team 21 years ago.
He was involved then, and hopefully he can be involved now.
Exactly. All right, Kings go for the road sweep, and they look for their 8th straight win. They're over 520-19. That's going to do it for game night. As always, Henry, great to work with you and have a great call tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, game night brought to you by Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. If you're looking to become a volunteer mentor, make sure to give them a call. You can help impact the life of a child. 916-646-9300 or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn more about it. Coming up next, Kings Live pregame. They'll take you until 5 o'clock tonight. Tip in Milwaukee is at 5 p.m. G-Man with the call. We've got you covered all evening long. Keep it here. The Kings trying to avenge that loss 1 year ago today in Milwaukee and beat the Bucks. Thanks for listening to Game Night and have a great night, everyone.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan